In Colombia, the situation is much worse than in Venezuela. But in Colombia, you have the highest rate of assassinations of activists in the entire world. Colombia is suffering from one of the highest rates of inequality in all of the region. The rich keep getting richer, and the poor keep getting poorer. The U.S. is also working with some of these same corrupt forces that are trying to push through neoliberal reforms in Colombia and Ecuador.
Violence that happened yesterday in Bogota. And I think that this is something that we're going to be seeing a lot more of in the future. But not just in the Latin Americas. We have trouble in Hong Kong, in Chile, in Bolivia. We have the Gilets jaunes or the Yellow Jackets in France. I think that the riots in Bogota are happening for a number of reasons. The younger generation, they're not the same as the older generations. If you speak to someone of 90, they understand the people of 70, understand the people of 60, they understand the people of 50, they understand the people of 40. But as a person in your late 30s now, understanding the generation which are 2021 is very difficult because they're growing up on a whole load of information, data, computers, smartphones that change the way that they see the world and change the way that they think, because smart technology has an effect on the neurons in your brain. On Thursday, there were a lot of peaceful protests, and that was seen as a success, as it should be. But then the next day, there was a lot of violence, and people don't understand why suddenly there is so much violence. What the people are saying is that the government has orchestrated this. The government has started to put people in to create violence, or the police just haven't shown up at places whereby the violence is starting, and instead of quashing it, they let it happen. My general impression is this, and a lot of people agree with me. The problem isn't just the government. The government's corrupt. Everyone's talking about corruption. But the government comes from the people. So if the government are corrupt, where did they learn that from? Well, once upon a time, they were actually people. So the people are corrupt. The people have been corrupted. I'll give you a story. I was in a taxi, and I was talking about the corruption. The taxi driver was saying, yeah, lots of corruption. You can't trust everyone. Everyone's stealing from you. I get to the end of the destination, and I say, okay, how much is the fare? And he put the fare up by 300%. And I said to him, don't you understand? The problem isn't the government, the problem's also you. If you want to run a country and you want there to be honesty, you need to have trust. In these countries, there is not much trust. The parents sometimes encourage their children to be dishonest because the way to get ahead in these countries is it's dog eat dog. So you have to step on other people. Money is very important. You need to have money. There's no national health. There's no loans to go to people that wish to go to university. So you can have very clever people and they can't get to university because they just don't have the money. Some of the students in university, they don't even have enough money to buy the books for the course. They don't even have enough money to eat. Some of them have to rob during the day and then go to university at night. That's how bad it is here. In order to get out of the system, you have to be a criminal. If you want to stop the riots, you have to change the people. There has to be a cultural shift. You have to connect with other people. Connection is empathy. You can start your empathy with nature. You can start it being amongst nature. If you can understand that a tree is something important, if air is important, if the sky is important, if you shouldn't pollute, you've got empathy, you've got a connection with Mother Nature. That can be turned to your fellow human. So in order to sort the problems out, the people need to make a cultural shift. They need to make a spiritual shift. They need to start trusting. They need to see that the way that things have been done in the past, being dishonest, stealing, cheating, is not a sign of a man. That in order to be a man, you shouldn't have those traits. Being a man or being a woman, in this case I'm going to talk about a man, is about having courage and independence and honesty. It's not about taking advantage of situations in order for you to benefit. And the Latin America, the mentality is to make short-term gains, not to have long-term investments. Here you're taught to be opportunistic, whereby a man is somebody that can take or steal or cheat and make a little bit of money very fast, and not to have responsibility for what he does. The blame is based on history. It's blamed on conquistadors. It's blamed on the government. It's blamed on capitalism. It's blamed on the system. You can't blame everybody. There has to come a point where you have to take responsibility, where you have to say, I'm not going to carry on in this way. And that's the first change. The first change isn't becoming something different. The first change is stopping to be something which is causing problems in the system. When you make that change, then you can start to try to educate yourself in how it is, as a human, you're supposed to behave in a society that actually has a beneficial effect. And saying that just because I change isn't going to make an impact on the society, you're wrong. One person changes, other people will change. The mentality that, oh, I'm not going to do it because no one else is actually part of the system to destroy the system, or to keep it at a very low level of energy and quality, which basically reciprocates itself, causing a prison place and keeping the people as prisoners in servitude and as slaves. So it's very important that in order to get out of these problems in Latin America, the people need to change mentality, need to focus, need to understand or adjust their understanding of what a man or a human actually is. If you enjoyed this video, please press the big red button or give me a thumbs up. Thank you very much.